Okay, so welcome back to a new video. This time it's about none other than the Ashbringer. The most iconic sword probably from the Alliance lore in World of Warcraft. Today we're going to look at it. I'm going to tell a bit about the lore. That's why I actually brought my chair over here, because this is going to be one of the long stories. A fantastic story, a tragedy actually, kind of a sad story that has been growing throughout the expansions up to the latest expansion that we are working in today, the War Within. So this is it. I'm looking forward to going for a story with this one, and let's get going. But first, I'm gonna get a thumbnail. Oh my God. Let's go. The reality is that the Ashbringer is a very tragic story that started back in the day with Magni Bronzebeard. And you know who Magni is if you've been keeping up with you know, the very old history of Warcraft and World of Warcraft. And until today, when he finally got destoned on the War Within, or in the War Within. So this is one of the most iconic weapons in World of Warcraft for the Alliance. The name of it, Ashbringer, it comes from its ability to slaughter all the undead. That's what it was made for, and leave nothing else behind than ashes, and that's it. It was made at the Great Anvil in Ironforge. So if you ever go by if you play the Alliance, if you go to Ironforge, in the center of everything, then you will see the Great Anvil, and that's where everything started with the Ashbringer. It was made by Magni over there in the middle, and then infused with the Holy Light, so it was able to slaughter the undead. At the same time, the Ashbringer was the title of Alexandros Mograine. He was called the Ashbringer, as you know, the title under his name. His function back then was the High Lord of the Order of the Silver Hand, and the Order of the Silver Hand were the first Paladins. And I hope I'm right about this. I haven't spent extreme amounts of time doing the reading about the lore. I am passionate about myself, but I'm pretty sure there are some other people, see Noble, if you know what I mean. So yes, Alexandros Mograine, the very first owner of this fantastic sword that was crafted for him. The truth about that is where it becomes tragic, because his oldest son, named Renaud Mograine, he was kind of jealous, actually very jealous of his father's power. So what happened is he betrayed Alexandros Mograine, and he killed him at Stratholme. So what happens there are also some materials in World of Warcraft. Otherwise, there are YouTube videos about it. So Alexandros was fighting lots and lots of undead, killed them all, but he was still surrounded, and that's when he dropped his blade because he was exhausted. So his son, Renaud, came from behind and stabbed his father with the Ashbringer. And that's when the Ashbringer became corrupted. That was a police car. So the Ashbringer became corrupted there, and Alexandros Mograine was killed by Renaud. What happened after that is Kel'Thuzad came in and resurrected Alexandros Mograine as a Death Knight to fight for the Scourge, or actually to lead the Scourge in Naxxramas. You know, the 4 horsemen boss in Naxxramas originally. That's where he was the leader of those, and it's actually a notorious raid because it is one of the hardest raids in World of Warcraft, the original one, because you needed 8 tanks to tank all the 4 different bosses in Naxxramas. So you can find some good information online about that. It's actually quite infamous, I'd say, than famous. Alexandros Mograine actually wielded the corrupted Ashbringer in Naxxramas, and that's also where he started dropping it, the corrupted Ashbringer. That's when one of the younger sons of Alexandros Mograine steps in the picture, because his son kills Alexandros. His son, called Darian Mograine, maybe you've heard that name, but his son Darian Mograine kills him and takes the blade from him, because it turns out that the father's soul, Alexandros Mograine's soul, was corrupted and trapped in the blade. So what his son tried to do was try to salvage his soul. So he went in and impaled himself with the blade, with the Ashbringer, to try and free his father. And he actually succeeds in that. So he releases the father, but unfortunately he becomes undead himself, Darian Mograine, the son of Alexandros. So he frees his father's soul, but then he becomes undead himself, and becomes a part of the Scourge. As a part of the Scourge, he becomes the High Lord of the Death Knights of Acheros. And if you played in Wrath of the Lich King, when Death Knights became a playable race in World of Warcraft, when you can play the Death Knights, that's where you can play through the scenario. So as the High Lord of the Death Knights of Acheros, and wielding this corrupted Ashbringer, there's this huge battle at Light's Hope Chapel in the Eastern Plaguelands. And actually, personally, this for me has quite a lot of impact, because that's where, at Eastern Plaguelands, that's where I used to spend most of my time when I was playing on, some private servers when I was really young and I didn't have money enough to pay for Blizzard servers. Probably didn't even have internet back then, back home. So I was just playing on this, local server. Eastern Plaguelands, Light's Hope Chapel, that's where Darian actually betrays the Lich King, who was controlling all of the Death Knights of Acheros. So Darian betrays the Lich King and yields, or hands over the weapon, the corrupted Ashbringer, to, where is it here? To Tyrion Fordring. And he cleanses it. Tyrion Fordring cleanses the Ashbringer, bringing it back to its original state. And that's because the Lich King had no power here. Because Light's Hope Chapel is built on a holy ground. And when you later on get to see that, when you get to wield the Ashbringer as a legendary, much later on in the expansions, is it called the Order Hall? Because I haven't played in Legion. The Order Hall of the Paladins is under Light's Hope Chapel. And that's the entire holy ground that it's been, that Light's Hope Chapel has been built on. So that's why the Lich King couldn't really defeat High Lord Tyrion Fordring over there. Good. Tyrion Fordring is brought into the discussion right now. So Tyrion Fordring was the High Lord of the Argent Crusade, who was fighting against the undead. And funny enough, time passes. The Death Knights are then slowly accepted into the Alliance or the Horde through some rituals, and you can follow that story online through by playing through in Wrath of the Lich King. But later on, the Ashbringer was used to defeat the Lich King and shatter Frostmourne. And I will make a very vivid live demo of how that happened.
So this is the Lich King. He goes like this. You something something, and then Tyrion comes in and like pows this, and then
the Frostmourne is shattered. Probably that's not how it happened, but it's the best way I can enact it right here. Let's go on. But there's actually not that much left of the story, because the Ashbringer was used again to destroy Frostmourne and defeat the Lich King. And if you go even later on in the expansions, Tyrion actually dies at some point at the third invasion of the Burning Crusade in Legion. You can see the cinematics where he gets killed by, was it a warlock, or he just dies in the middle of a pool of fel, I think. I can't really remember now, but he dies somehow with a lot of green on the pictures. After he dies, the legendary Ashbringer goes to all the paladins. Every single paladin gets an Ashbringer. You get one, you get one, you get one, and it becomes less legendary, I think, when everyone has it. So every single paladin wields this legendary for an entire expansion, and then Sargeras comes in and he just feels like, you know what, I'm just gonna stab Azeroth with my great huge sword. He does that, and then, you know, Azeroth becomes very unstable and hurts. Champion, heal the wounds, champion. This is awkward. But so Sargeras kind of stabs the entire world, the entire Azeroth, with his sword, and in order to stabilize the wound and all of the energy that comes from that sword, all of the legendaries, including the Ashbringer, are used to stabilize this wound. So it goes away, it gets drained from all of its magical power, Magni cries a bit, and then that's basically the story of the most iconic sword for the Alliance in World of Warcraft, the Ashbringer. Pretty sure I missed some details, but if you are a lore queen or a lore king, please correct me on this one down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the story, but now let us look at the sword. Probably you've been skipping to this part, but we're talking about a massive sword over here. I just weighed it. It weighs 5.6 kilograms. And if you think about that, it's not a lot. 5.6 kilograms. It's a bit of weight. It's 3 bottles, or around 3 bottles of water, 2 kilo bottles of water, bottle of water. So it's not extremely, heavy as in mass. The problem is it's extremely awkward to hold because the center of gravity is so difficult. I've been training 12 years of strength training to be able to do this. The sword is huge. It's made completely of steel. This is actually, there's 3 parts in here, but we're going to get back to that. So the length of it, I am going to measure it right now because I have a measuring tape with me. And I'm in Europe. I will not do inches or pounds for weight. I will do centimeters. You can do the math afterwards. 118 centimeters in length. 118 centimeters in length. 5.6 kilograms in weight. Here in width, I'm going to measure 25 centimeters. And the blade itself is actually, let me check. It's 4 millimeters in thickness over here. And over here we got 3.5 centimeters. I will do some close-ups for you right here. Yes, so what do we have here? We have the tip. I can probably take this off, but I will. Yes, there it is. How pointy it is, you might ask. Quite pointy. Quite pointy. Completely out of focus, yes, but bear with me, please. I appreciate your patience, yes. So the blade is quite long. Let's measure this from the very tip to the edge of the blade over here, we have 76 centimeters. And the thickest part of it here, you can actually see that there's, oh, let me just, here. At the thickest part of the blade, or widest part, there's kind of like a ridge going down. And we are at 17.5 centimeters, 175 millimeters. Over here we have the Hand of Justice, the most classical symbol for the, what is it called? The Ashbringer with the Hand of Justice. Held, you know, the real sword, this is floating, but they couldn't really do it floating, so you have these two holders here. You got the runes etched in the blade over here, and then in the middle here we have the balance, or the, I don't know what the word in English is for this. Please let me know in the comments below. Let me just turn this around. You got this. Focus, please. The handle over here is quite nice. It's quite thick. So we are talking 35 millimeters in diameter, and it's covered with some leather strip, and the leather strip is 5 millimeters in width, and just put around here the handle. You got room to dual wield it over here, and then we have the end here, which I am not sure what this symbolizes. Probably going to do some b-roll of this. Yes. All in all, I think this is a monster of a sword. It is the biggest sword in my arsenal, I could call it. Clearly the largest of them, the most meaty. Yeah, you can see the quality of it. The problem with this is you have some metal against metal over here. So when I do this, because it's kind of wobbly, it's going to sound cheap like that. But don't get me wrong, the quality of this is actually quite okay. It's been also very expensive. Over here, you can actually see the 3 layers, not on this side. On this side, you can only see 1 layer here, because it's kind of like a coin. But on the other side, on the inside of this coin here, you can see the 3 layers, where it's, just kind of like slid in. I think this one comes with a stand that kind of allows you to display it like this on the table. So you would have it like this, but you can always just fashion something out of wood and kind of like hang it here or hang it here somewhere on your wall. How it would look like, I mean, Christ, this is heavy. This is what it would look like on the wall. I hope you can see it and make a decision yourself if it's worth it. Otherwise, you could also, can you see this wall here? You could also put it like this on the wall. If you have some RGB lighting, it could look quite cool. I think so. Yeah. Maybe it's even better like this. But yeah. If you are interested in building some muscle mass, then I think this one would be a good addition. If you wield this for like 5 minutes, then you've did your cardio for the day, and your forearms are gonna burn definitely more than Ellie Goulding does in her songs. Yeah. Yes. We talked about the size, we talked about the weight, we talked about the lore of this thing, whether it's worth to buy it or not. I mean, it depends a lot on you. If you are a big aficionado for the Alliance or the lore, which again I think it's extremely interesting, one of the best stories I think for a weapon, and it kind of feels like it kept going and going, where Magni crafts the weapon, and then it's infused with light, then it gets corrupted because the guy kills his own father, and then, you know, like, it gets purified again, and then it destroys the one and only, Jesus Christ, like, it shatters the big Frostmourne. Like, what? Yeah. If you really enjoy the lore, if you enjoy the story, if you like having a huge weapon on your wall or wherever, I think it's worth it. So thank you for watching this video. It looks like it's half an hour here, but you know what? I'm probably going to leave it uncut. So if you feel like seeing the entire thing, you're welcome to see the entire thing. So good. This is the Ashbringer from World of Warcraft. If you enjoyed this, please throw a like if you like it. And you know what? If you have something that you wish I said or added, just please throw it in the comments below. Then, you know, I can make these videos better. Also, if you want to see some more, probably you should throw a subscribe, and then I will do, maybe you'll get to see some of the reviews for the other weapons, because now that I have them all, I might as well. So, from the Quel'Zaram, Anduin Lothar's sword with the fantastic leather over here. I already did the video for the Doomhammer over here. You see it? Huge. The next one is, of course, the Shadowmourne, the huge axe, and this is actually one of the most comfortable axes to wield. It's crazy. Then we got the Charlemagne. It's, you know, currently Anduin Rin is the one who wields it, but it was his father, and it also has a good story. And then, oh my God, I have to show you this. You know, this is the one that I've been working, or, you know, working a lot to get, because this is amazing. The Royal Guard sword with the lion and everything. Look at the lion there. It's so crazy. It's beautiful. I'm looking forward to making a review of this sword. And it's also really nice to wield. There's also, of course, the Frostmourne, because Frostmourne, the very first sword that I had. And you know, this is actually quite awesome as well, quite heavy. But this is the Lion's Fang, the sword of King Anduin Lane. Very detailed, very nice. You know, golden motifs on it, and it looks really cool. Right next to the, I need to breathe. Right next to the Ashbringer. But this is heavy as well. And I have two versions of them. I have the small one too. Yes, you know what? I'm gonna do videos about all of these at some point. So if you want to see those, remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again right here. Enjoy your evening, and see you on the next one.